I decided to try Jamaican meat patties for the first time.
You're watching the Beer Pantry Show.
As I'm scrolling past the ingredients for the dough, I want to let you guys know that I should have used a little bit less salt and a little bit less soy sauce for the meat. So let's get into what we're going to need. So let's start off first of all with the ingredients that we're going to need for the dough. 2 cups of all-purpose flour, some baking powder, some curry powder, some sugar, butter and shortening, which I already diced and put in the fridge to get them super cold. Well, the butter was cold before I diced it, but not the shortening because I keep it in the pantry. 1 egg, and then about 6 tablespoons of water, and I will put the ingredients in the description below because I've left off quite a few of the ingredients that this thing calls for because I don't have it and I don't know what it is. Okay, so let's start. Let me show you the butter. Let me get this out the way because this is for the meat. Let's get this out the way. Get my bowl, dump the flour, the baking powder. It's half a teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of curry powder, and then half a tablespoon of sugar, which is 1.5 teaspoons. Same but different. And then half cup of cold butter that I already diced up. Not putting any salt because my butter is salty. If you are not putting the salted butter, then you need a teaspoon of salt. Cold shortening that I kind of diced up because that was in the pantry. I put that in the freezer. Oh, I started a new roll of parchment paper, and then 6 tablespoons of cold water and 1 egg. But the egg, we're not going to use the whole egg in this part. We're going to use a little bit of the egg because the rest of it we're going to leave for egg wash. Okay. And she said, put some of the egg. This is a TikTok video I was watching, you know. Put some of the egg in there, but leave most of it for wash. So I put it in the water. Ooh, that's gross looking. Then we're going to put ice. Get the water super cold, okay? I was going to use garlic powder in the meat, but Jada convinced me to use real garlic. Alright, I have 1 strand of hair that's in my forehead. Let me wash my hands again. So what I'm doing here is just kind of pinching the fat into the flour. You can use a pastry cutter to do that too. I can smell the curry powder. We're going to add the cold water. And it feels like we're going to need more water. Ooh, look at the nasty egg. Let me get some more water. Now you guys know, for the people who have been with me for a while, you guys know how I operate. If I'm trying a recipe for the first time, I'm pretty much going to tell you I don't know how it's going to come out. I feel good about this one, that it will come out good. But I don't know, because it's the first time I'm trying it. I think that's enough water. I can see big chunks of the butter still. Jada's in her room watching TV, and it's loud. You want to fraisier. Anytime it comes to pie dough, you want to fraisier. So I'm just kind of bringing the dough together. And I think I need some flour. So let me run back to the laundry room and get some flour. Okay. Let's put it on the counter. And we don't want to get it too dry, but I don't want it to be too sticky either, okay? So now I have a piece of parchment paper here, and I'm just gonna press it down like a disc, fold the parchment paper around it, and then I'm gonna go ahead and stick this in the fridge for at least 15 minutes or probably longer. So I'm just washing my hands, and then I'm gonna take care of the meat. So this is 1 pound of ground beef, and I'm pressing it out because I want to go ahead and add the onion, the diced onion on top of this. I learned this from Chef John. Whenever he's cooking ground beef, he always puts the meat in a pot and then put the onion before he turns on the fire. It has something to do with the onion releasing this water or something that makes it more moist. I don't know, but I'm following what he's doing. So here I've cut the fire on, and I'm using my little meat cutter here to just kind of press through. I'm not trying to press too much to the bottom of my pot because I don't want to scrape up my new pots, you know. So this is what all we need: salt, pepper, ketchup. This is serrano, some ginger, some garlic, and it calls for a lot of other things that I don't have, all right? So this is what all I have. So we want to make, oh, I have to soak a little piece of bread in water. I'll tell you why later, okay? Just go ahead and stir it so the meat can get brown. And now I'm adding the ginger. I've minced it. I've diced it so small. And the garlic. Usually I'll put garlic powder, but Jada convinced me to put garlic. And then the serranos, because I don't have like Scotch bonnet, which is what Jamaicans would use. Salt, black pepper. Okay, ketchup. Well, before the ketchup, soy sauce. This is a light soy sauce. And then the ketchup. I'm excited about the ketchup. I don't really put ketchup in my meat when I'm making Belizean meat pies. So I'm excited for this. Okay, so I think that's everything. Let me go ahead and wash my hands so I can get the ketchup off. And then just go ahead and stir. So this recipe calls for all kind of stuff. I don't have thyme, pimento, some other type of coloring, a browning. This is the Bear Pantry show after all. We're going to put what we have. Don't come for me, Jamaicans. You guys are some of my biggest supporters. You really are though. Jamaicans and Trinis and Guyanese. I think more so than Belizean. It's super salty. Put the salt in after you put in the soy sauce. And I use the light soy sauce. I think this is done. When I make my meat pie, I let it go longer. And yes, I'm leaving all the gravy. I'm not draining it. Shut that off. And let's give the pie dough a little bit more time. Oh, wait. My bad. My mistake. This bread. She didn't put that in the list on the recipe, but I saw her do this. Soak a piece of bread in some water and drop it in here. It was like a short, you know. It wasn't a long video. Let's see how that looking. So I'm trying to put this together off of a short. I guess that's like putting cornstarch or flour. You know? I'm not gonna put more. I think that's enough. Shut this off. I'm gonna give the dough like a half hour more. When I come back, we're gonna be rolling off the dough and making the patties, okay? Don't forget to pick up your potable and dry mix. And remember, I already have everything in here. All you have to do is add butter, egg, and milk. And you don't even have to add the egg if you're allergic or if you don't like egg, all right? Remember, if you're not going to put the egg, you're going to put a little bit more milk. And if you don't want to form them into the circles, you can make them into bars. You can customize them even more by adding raisin or dried cranberries or milk chocolate chips or white chocolate chips or both of them together or nuts. Whatever you want to add, all right? Pick up your dry mix today, guys. I let the pie dough rest in the fridge for 30 minutes and it's just perfect. It's not too stiff, it's not too soft. I'm going to go ahead and light my oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit because that's what we're going to bake it at. Let me get this frying pan full of oil out of the oven. and then just kind of press out the dough to try to get it to relax. I have a stick of butter here, but I'm just going to use about 2 tablespoons that I'm going to dice into little bitty pieces because I want to fold it into the dough, okay? We're going to do some folds so we can build some layers, and that's going to make the pie dough more flaky. Just get the little pieces in here, and then we're going to start folding. Just going to fold it like this, like in 3, right? Put some flour if it's too sticky, and then I'm going to use the rolling pin to just roll out the dough, and I'm just going to do different folds as we go along. So let's have a talk, guys. Pull up a chair, close the door, and let's talk for a little bit. So remember I told you guys in the last video that Joe and I got interviewed to go on Let's Make a Deal that's hosted by Wayne Brady? Well, I have a little piece of the interview to show you at the very end, but I'm going to cover the computer screen so you don't see the young man that's interviewing me because I want to be respectful. You're just going to hear his voice, and it's a little snippet, okay? But we ordered our costumes, and I'm building a hat to go with my costume, and I think I might show you that hat next video. All right, I'm not trying to stretch it out, but I'm still working on the hat. You notice what I'm doing, right? I'm using a cookie cutter to try to cut this into a perfect circle, but you can see the dough is still too sticky, so I have to put more flour. And at first, I start with a smaller cookie cutter, and I found out that it was too small, so I used an even bigger one later, okay? So just keep an eye on what I'm doing while we gossip over here. Yeah, so the day that we had the interview, it went really well, and the young man said he's going to really pitch us to the producers because he really wants us on the show. So then later that evening, I get a text from somebody else from the show, and the person said that they wanted to call me. When was a good time for them to call me? So I said, okay, you could call anytime. So he called me right away, and he was explaining how they do the show now rather than how they did it pre-pandemic and even during the pandemic. And so then he got to the point where he said he wanted to interview me. And that's when I realized that he got my application that one producer told me on Friday to turn in so that I can be on the show with Joe. And I said, wait, we already had our interview. And he said, by who? And I told him the name. And he looked in the computer and he goes, okay, he already turned it in. He goes, oh my God, he loved you guys. And he says, this looks good for you guys. He goes, ultimately, CBS producers have the final say so on who gets chosen for the show. But I'm telling you that this looks good. You know, you guys look good for the show. And if I were you, I'd be ready. And so that's why I bought my little costume. Well, me and Joe's costume. Joe's going to be a carton of milk, and I'm going to be a chocolate chip cookie, right? But we're building some hats to go with it because we need to stand out. You know, just because you get chosen and you're told to come down to the studio, don't mean they're going to pick you to play the games. If you look dull and you just look, you know, you're not off the chart, they're not going to pick you. So thank you, Christine, for telling me to make those hats. So I'm baking them now, and they say go for 30 minutes, but in the long run, I went for 40 minutes, and I did switch the trays around eventually. Now stay tuned for the little segment at the very end.
This is the Pantry show.
Right.
All right, you go first.
We good?
I'm Joe.
I'm Joe.
I'm Barbara, and we're the Grindages.
Hold on. Do it again like you know who you
I'm Joe.
I'm Barbara,
And we are the Grindages.
That was good. I like that. Tell me about y'all, how you know each other, how long have you known each other. Tell me about you.